we're just, hey.
And I'll edit this first part.
Okay. Now we're getting really sophisticated. We know
Or
how to
you
edit
cannot.
stuff.
Well, you just anyway.
Okay.
That yellow thing is kind of throwing me off. I don't know what
yellow?
that is.
Oh.
Welcome to the Yes Show number 5.
Number 5.
Yes, stands for
Yuma Entrepreneurship Show.
Today we have our special guest, which we will introduce in a minute. We had a busy week this week, wouldn't you say? You were
Absolutely.
dying last week with your what did you have?
I had Ebola / West Nile virus / allergies. Yeah, so it was fun. So.
Oh, you look a lot
But,
better.
yeah.
Glad you toughed it out.
Yeah.
Before we introduce our special guest, we want to start out with just talking about a little bit of motivation, a little bit about a couple of quotes that we went through this week. Jerry, you want to start us off with that?
Yeah, actually, so this was a birthday present from my wonderful sister, Teresa Lococo. Thank you very much, Teresa. So it's a book by Angela Duckworth called Grit. And I'm on chapter 3 right now, but it's just an amazing read. I highly recommend it. One of the things in here it talks about is this idea that successful people, they're just somehow born that way, successful in sports, in business, and in any other metric, that somehow they just have the talent. And one of the quotes in here I think is pretty interesting. It says, it's by a gentleman, philosopher by the last name of Nietzsche. He says, with everything perfect, we do not ask how it came to be. Instead, we rejoice in the present fact as though it came out of the ground by magic. And he goes on and says, we prefer our excellence fully formed. We prefer mystery to mundanity. And then also it says, this is the real critical part here, guys. It says, for if we think of a genius as something magical, we are not obliged to compare ourselves and find ourselves lacking. To call someone divine means, here, there is no need to compete. So, what he's saying is here, guys, and what it says in this book, is that talent is important. It's highly important. But what's even more important is effort. And that all these people throughout life that you hear about, the Mozarts and the Michael Jordans and the various, successful sports and business personalities and leaders through the world, has to do more about their effort and than their God-given abilities, and their talent. So that's kind of a little bit of a quote, plus a little bit of analysis in this book. Once again, it's called Grit by Angela Duckworth. I highly recommend it. It's a phenomenal read so far. That's it.
That's awesome. You know, I want to add to that because that kind of ties into what I wanted to talk to you about. You don't need to compete. You need to compete with yourself and be the best that you can be, right?
Absolutely.
Especially in a small town, you're so focused on what the competition is doing that you don't really focus on, hey, I don't really need to compete. I need to compete with myself. And if I worry about myself, do the best that I can do, then the competition takes care of itself.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so mine, and then doing that, talent and versus effort, we can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have that effort, if you don't go out there and do it and make mistakes and correct those mistakes, you're not going to get to where you want to get. And my quote, it says, most obstacles are just tests to see if you really want it. Now, for me, I've sat down this year and I've made some lofty goals, and in order to achieve those goals, there's activities that you have to do, and then all of a sudden, you see things happening, but then again, along with that comes more obstacles, more pain, and then things go wrong, and then you ask yourself, man, maybe this isn't worth it. And I think a lot of us, especially if we're in business for ourselves, if we're on 100% commission or we have businesses, we kind of get stuck there, and we kind of go back off of our goals a little bit. It's not part of what's comfortable for us. Mm-hmm. Would you agree?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So that is my thing, and that kind of goes down with that book. And I'm gonna that sounds like an awesome book, but with your goals, you're going to have obstacles, and you're going to get tested, and you're going to ask yourself, man, is this really worth it? But if you're doing the best that you can do, and you're providing a service, and if you make mistakes and you revamp and say, okay, I learned from this and move forward, just as long as you don't give up, you will be right up there with the best in the competition. You don't even have to worry about. So having said that, we are going to go into our guest question portion of the show. Our guest today is Paul Cunningham. Paul Cunningham has a very unique story. He's a successful real estate agent, successful business owner, and he knows how to grind. He has proven it time and time again. And we're going to ask him some questions, and we want to thank you for taking the time to join us today and helping our community. And Jerry's going to start us off with some questions, and so we're going to get started.
So Paul, tell us a little bit about, where you were born, where'd you grow up, and a little bit about your education and those experiences.
I was born in Wichita, Kansas, and lived there most of my youth life. Moved to Oklahoma City, and about halfway through 9th grade, my dad had a job transfer, and spent my high school years in Oklahoma City, and graduated, and I'm going to date myself here, in 1988 from Putnam City West, the Patriots, go Patriots.
All right.
And had joined the Marine Corps, signed up for the Marine Corps, I think right before my senior year, so it would have been like 1987. And right out of high school, joined the Marines, and that's what brought me to Yuma. So I came to Yuma May 15th, so almost to the day.
Oh, wow.
1989 is when I set foot on Marine Corps Air Station Yuma, and was stationed here as an air traffic controller, and had a lot of fun. Did 4 years in the Marines.
Did you learn a little bit about grit when you were in the Marine Corps?
Yeah, I was the most unlikely person for the Marine Corps in my family because I was the youngest. I was the spoiled kid in the family who pretty much got everything that I wanted through manipulation. Mm-hmm. And when I came to my parents and said, "Hey, I want to join the Marines," they couldn't believe it. They're like, why? Why you? So anyway, and I don't even know why I did. I just didn't have much direction in terms of education or anything like that at that point. So joined the Marines, came to Yuma, met a local girl, and ended up staying here. Never really escaped the gravitational pull of Yuma. But after I got out, I decided I wanted to get out after 4 years. Takes a special kind of person to want to make a career out of the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. And while I enjoyed the time that I was in, I knew I didn't want to be a career Marine. So got out, used the GI Bill, and started my education here in Yuma. And then for about 2 years, my wife and I lived in Tucson, and she's a dental hygienist, so she went through a program at Pima there in Tucson, and I finished up my undergrad at the U of A.
Okay. What'd you study at the U of A?
I got my degree in ecology and evolutionary biology.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with I think it was a minor like physics, chemistry, and math or something like that. So at the time, my plan was to be a dentist. I wanted to go into dentistry. And the plan would be I'd be the dentist, my wife would be the hygienist, we'd have a practice together. And it turns out I wasn't smart enough to get into dental school. So applied a couple of years, spent a lot of money, flew to I think 4 different interviews at 4 different schools, and got an alternate spot at Oregon Health Sciences University in Portland, but never got the call.
Okay.
And at the time my grades were decent. I think it was like a 3.5 GPA, but fairly average. And but I was grinding. I was working waitering tables, tellering at a bank there, and so I was taking. I think my senior year I took 20 credit hours my last semester and worked a good 30 hours a week. So it was pretty much I was a zombie.
Well, that's a topic that they talk about heavily in this book. Grit is this idea that grades are not determinative,
right?
Test scores are not determinative,
right?
It's while they're important, it's that effort, grind, and hustle. Sure. Is what gets you success in life. So
absolutely, and in retrospect, I'm glad. I'm glad I didn't get in. It was one of those things where I can't see myself sitting in a chair for 8 hours a day. I love people, but I just don't think that would have been a good fit for me ultimately.
It doesn't fit your personality, yeah.
For sure. So glad it happened.
Yeah, so sometimes when a door closes, another one opens. So.
100%.
So how did you get from there? You had the door closed with the dental, those goals. So then what happened? Were you depressed for a little bit? Did it kind of?
Yeah, I went through a little bit of a funk for sure, because so far, like in life, things had come pretty easy to me. I didn't have to really try real hard to have at least some level of success. So it was new territory to try something like that and fail. So I had to work through the it was a blow to my ego, which was also good for me, and had to work through the idea that some things aren't just going to come real easy. So by this time we had moved back to Yuma and had bought a place here. I was working at a truss company designing roof trusses sort of in the interim, and after the second year of applying, when we figured out that we weren't going to get in, we just started praying and asking God for some direction, what should be next. And about 2 weeks into that, within a 3-day period, 3 people, none of whom knew each other, said, "Hey, have you thought about real estate?" And the first 2 people, I said no, and I don't want to think about real estate. It was like so far off my radar. But by the 3rd person, I said, okay, maybe this is something that we should look at. So
they probably saw characteristics in you that they knew would translate over to the business.
To sales, yeah, I think so. So had lunch with my former broker, Ron Watson, and my father-in-law, who Ron and my father-in-law went to high school together way back in the day. And Ron met with me and said, hey, if you just do this and this and this, you can have any level of success that you want. And after talking about it, we saw the potential and decided to make that jump in. And we were fortunate because my wife had finished her hygiene degree, was working and making good money in hygiene, so we had the luxury of me getting into real estate and potentially not making money for a period of time.
Yeah, but I thought real estate's easy.
Okay. Oh yeah, so yeah.
So, you just show up and get commission checks, right?
Exactly right. Yeah.
Now backing up on that.
Yeah.
You said you prayed about it. You specifically, and this isn't a religious show, but I noticed that most successful entrepreneurs, whether it's writing down goals, praying about it, having it enter your mind, then all of a sudden stuff opens up. Like you didn't even think about real estate, but then how was that emotional? Man, real estate, I don't even think about it, but then you said there was 3 conversations regarding real estate at that time. Yeah,
within a 3-day period. It was really strange. And so because we were open. I mean, at that point, dental school had been the plan for the 4 years prior, so there was really no backup plan.
But how was that prayer? Did you pray, let me find something, or let me find something? Was it a specific prayer?
Yeah, it was a specific. It was, all right, God. Obviously, this isn't the plan. And by this time, I was 30, because it took me 6 years to get my degree. Just with the amount of hours that I worked, to be longer. And I was 30. I'm thinking, okay, it's time to grow up and get a career. We were married but didn't have kids yet. We've been married for 6 years. So the prayer was, okay, if it's not this, what is it? And we're open. And after the first 2 conversations, I realized I really wasn't that open. But by the 3rd one, I got the hint and looked into it.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's great.
So point being there, you have to open it up to where you gotta want something, and whether you don't know what it is, but you know that something's out there, keep your eyes and ears open, because the answers are out there. You just have to look at them.
The differences would be, if Paul would have said, I don't know what I'm going to do. There's nothing for me out here. This is, this dental, this is terrible. I'm not open to anything. Instead, you were, okay, I'm listening.
Right.
Show me, I'm open.
Yeah, it would have been easy just to sort of say, okay, I'm just going to put my head down and do a normal 9 to 5 and sort of settle. But I learned a long time ago I'm not cut out for a 9 to 5, and and I knew I didn't want to work for someone else if at all possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us about your first experience as an entrepreneur in the real estate world. Was it easy for you? Was it hard? Give us a little bit of a taste of what happened.
It was easy in the respect that I love to work with people. That comes easy for me. So I enjoy spending time with people, talking to people. The hard work came with finding the business, because real estate is probably one of the most unstructured professions that I can think of in terms of there aren't a lot of agents that go about it with a business approach.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people get into real estate because they think it is easy,
mm-hmm.
and they can make a lot of money, and there's really no plan. So I came in with the mindset that my broker had been highly successful for years. So I decided in advance I was going to listen to what he told me to do, and I was going to do it regardless of how difficult it may be. So the hard part was really the work, the P word, the prospecting word. So I spent about 4 years door knocking, winter, spring, summer, fall, usually an hour or two a day, and going out there and finding business, and then developing a list of friends and past clients, and prospecting that list also.
Yeah.
So there's really no.
So you had to hit the street. So it wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't just Paul's talent, gift of speaking with people.
Right.
It took you going out, getting outside of your ego.
Right.
And going, and I'm sure you had people, at least one or two doors slammed in your face in the process.
Yeah, way more no's than yeses,
mm-hmm.
and a lot of hard work.
Mm-hmm.
It was a numbers game. I knew that the more people I talked to, the more people I'd run into that needed to buy or sell real estate. So,
did you ever have any doubts that it wouldn't work, that real estate wouldn't work, or was it always you said, "Hey, this is going to work," and it?
Yeah, Ron
burn the bridges.
Yeah, I was going to say that his conversation was burn the ships, like Columbus. So, give yourself no escape plan and go for it. So, it was really 4 years straight of door knocking, and then another 2 or 3 years of prospecting by phone. So, really, for the first 7 years of the business, I've been doing it 16 years now, was straight, just grinding every day. Trying to find that business.
You mentioned Ron a lot,
mm-hmm.
and I know for those listeners who don't know, he was your broker before.
Mm-hmm.
Do you attribute, your work ethic, the structure of the business, to him as a mentor? How important do you think, if you didn't have that mentor, would it have taken you the same amount of time? Or?
Oh yeah. A huge amount of credit, I think, goes to having him as a broker and a mentor. We had lots of agents that would come in and sort of filter in and out of the office over time, and a lot of them said their broker, it was literally, here's your desk, here's your phone, good luck. Mm-hmm. And they had no clue what to do. And the benefit of working with Ron is he gave you, here's your schedule, this is what you do. If someone says this is what you say, and just really coaching me in a lot of ways and investing a lot in me in terms of my success. Mm-hmm. And at some point there was a point of diminishing returns for him because we had a certain commission structure, and once I met that structure with him, he really wasn't going to benefit from me anymore at that point in that year. So he was really unselfish and still spending that time and wanting to see me grow, wanting to see my business successful. So having that mentor was really critical for sure.
Great.
That's amazing.
Now, successful real estate business, doing it for many years now, but what are you doing now in addition to real estate?
My wife and I launched a company about 3 years ago. Been working on it for about 5 years, called Notch. We sell baseball caps. We have a utility patent for a new type of baseball cap. So I had always wanted to invent something and take a product to market. In fact, we've been married about 22 years, and when we first got married, she bought me a book called The Inventor's Desktop Companion. Oh. Still have it on my bookshelf, and I would always talk about, I'd have this idea or that idea, but I never had the application. I never took it beyond just thinking, that'd be cool to do that. And about 6 years ago, I had an idea that was, I thought, pretty practical, solved a problem that I had. And it was the first idea that I had that I was willing to maybe invest some time and money in. So,
can you talk about that? How that went down? And
sure. Yeah. I mean, for me, practically speaking, I like to wear baseball caps with a curved brim versus like a flat bill. I can't pull it off.
Yeah, that was my generation too.
I can't pull off the flat bill. So, and so for me, the problem was when I wear my big framed Oakleys, my bill would bump into my sunglasses, and I couldn't wear it. Like if I wore a hat normally, I have my hat down low and my bill curved. But with glasses on, you can't do that, so I'd have to wear it differently than normal, which I didn't like.
Yeah.
So then I would either turn my hat backwards and wear my sunglasses, or just wear sunglasses, or one or the other. And one Sunday, I was sitting on the couch watching golf and saw a golfer on TV with his hat cocked back for the same reason, and just hit me. Why not notch out the bill? So jumped off the couch and I got a hat and a pair of scissors, and I cut up my first hat. And thought, holy cow, that works.
Yeah.
So immediately we sort of started scouring the internet to see if there was a product like that out there.
So I'm pretty sure you probably knew exactly what a utility patent was at that point.
Oh yeah, for sure. I knew all about that. Yeah, but I didn't know anything about it.
Didn't know anything.
Yeah,
right?
I knew. The only thing I knew was not to call InventHelp. I knew that, but scoured the internet, didn't find anything like it. Found an attorney in Phoenix that was an old salty guy, been in the business for 40 years, had clients like Motorola and some bigger clients, so he knew what he was doing, and paid him to do a patent search for us, and thought sure, man, they would come back and say, yeah, that's out there. But after about a month, they came back and said, no, it's novel and patentable, so we filed our emergency application right away. That would have been in September of 2010.
Wow.
And started working on it from there.
That's awesome. And has it been just easy road the whole way, or is it?
Oh man, wrought with setbacks and failure for sure. We the first plan was to license the idea, so we submitted to companies like Oakley, Nike, Under Armour, FlexFit, and a bunch of others that were in the headwear industry, and consistently got no's. Just no. At this point, all we had were prototypes that I was making by hand. My Chevron sewing days from the Marine Corps came in handy because I was hand sewing these prototypes, and we just were getting nothing. We had a little interest from FlexFit, but ultimately that was a no also. So in the meantime, I'm wearing prototypes around, and I think you had even seen some of them, and other people are like, man, where did you get that hat? Like, we're going to get one of those. I loved it. It worked for me, and I'm a pretty normal guy, so I figured there had to be some market for it. We just didn't know how much. So it was, I think, October of 2011, we got our last no from Under Armour, and decided, you know what, we need to take this to market ourselves and just prove concept. So we started the work of getting a logo, finding a manufacturer. We didn't want to go through a middleman, so we went directly to a manufacturer. And the learning curve on all of that was, I mean, massive, because I had no background in that at all. So a lot of setbacks for sure, a lot of challenges, and still on a daily basis we have
things
setbacks,
challenges to overcome. And
yeah, the learning curve just keeps getting steeper the more we grow.
But you wouldn't change it for anything.
No, it's a thrill for sure, especially once we launch, to see the market embrace the product and immediately sort of grab onto it. And it's, you know, we're getting into other markets. We got a lot of traction in the shooting, tactical, military market initially. Competitive shootings, especially with the three gun series, and now we're getting a lot of traction in the fishing market for sure, military.
Were you in NASCAR?
We sponsor 3 NASCAR drivers now on the truck series, which is awesome. All of which reached out to us, which makes it even that much sweeter.
Oh, so, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
But people don't see all the work, the behind-the-scene things. They just see the finished product and say, there are
thousands of hours.
Paul Cunningham again. Everything comes easy to him.
Yeah, I wish.
Well, I mean, with an idea like that, I mean, I think, you know, pretty much. I mean, I agree. I mean, what a great idea. It should be easy. Well, who wouldn't want to take this to market? Why wouldn't Under Armour want it? You know?
Yeah.
And but you get the no's. Sounds a lot like door knocking in a sense, right?
It does. You have to have thick skin, not let rejection bother you, because it's just part of it. And I tell people, if I knew then how much time, money, effort it would have taken, I may not have started it. Because I thought the same thing. Oh man, I'll submit the idea, they'll love it. I'll get a check in the mail every quarter, and this will be awesome. And it just certainly didn't play out that way. Yeah. So.
But why did you stick to it when you got your first no? You could have said, this doesn't work, and then just move on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those gut things. I knew I had something. I knew it worked for me. And I'm not, one of those French guys living in the basement with his mom, at 40 something. So I knew I had something, and I had that drive to stick with it. So.
And that's one of the things that one of the goals of this show is. Just imagine how many ideas are floating around in this community. That people have great ideas, but people aren't necessarily taking action. And so, if you guys are listening out there, I mean, this is something to inspire you. You've got an idea, you've got something you think is a great idea. Reach out to Paul. Reach out to us, Edward. Let us know. I mean, this show is for our community. It's for you, to get you out there. Start taking action, start taking some risks, and being entrepreneurial. So it's a great. I love this story.
And then if you see, there's like a pattern. His real estate career, he was getting, like you said, thick skin. Whatever you decide to do, it doesn't matter how much you love to do it. But notice that he went through all this stuff, and he got rejection, and he could have said no, but yet he kept going. And that's the same whether you're doing real estate, whether you're opening up your own business, whatever it is that's worthwhile, a worthwhile goal, it's probably going to suck 95% of the time, right? Until you get that 5%, but it's all worth it. So we want to thank you again for taking the time. Jerry's going to finishing up with some last questions.
Yeah, so real quick, so what are you, besides, you're passionate about real estate, you're passionate about being an inventor and business creator, what are your other passions in life?
Family, for sure, is big for me. I'm a family man. If we have spare time, I like to spend that with my family. Giving to others is super important for my wife and I. We get a lot of joy from that. We think that's where the joy is. So we've done that in our personal lives, in our entire marriage, and we do that through Notch also. We partner with an organization called Children's Hunger Fund, and Forbes.com rates them as one of the most cost-effective charities out there. So for every $100 you give, 99 goes to the needy.
Oh wow!
In the charity world, that's unheard of. They just kill it.
There's like no overhead.
Yeah. So I had always been inspired by like Blake Mykoski of Tom's Shoes, a guy that mentors me in this business now, Tyler Merritt from a company called Project 7. Their model is social entrepreneurship. So they use the business to do something lasting and meaningful with their business. And so what we do is for every hat we sell, that provides 5 meals to kids in need. And we just wrote another check to Children's Hunger Fund, and we're at about 136,000 meals now that we've provided since we launched.
136,000 meals.
Yeah, from 2013. So for me, I get a charge out of that because it's something that I don't like asking people for money for a cause. I just don't like doing that. But I love the idea of having a product that people want and will pay money for, and then take part of that and use it to make an impact. So it's a great thrill, and that's really another driving force behind Notch that keeps me motivated. Is, man, this could be much bigger than a hat or a company. It can be the opportunity to change somebody's
social
life.
Impact,
for sure.
And it all started with an idea on the couch with you watching golf.
Right. Yeah. How crazy.
And a little bit of frustration in the past.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Definitely passionate about that for sure.
Awesome. Okay. So one last question for you, Paul, is, so we got these young, old entrepreneurs sitting out there.
Why you look at me when you say old, man?
I glanced at you. It wasn't entirely. You're only a couple of years older than me. And people are sitting out there. What's one nugget, one nugget of advice, one piece of advice you could give?
Yeah, I think Edward touched on it earlier. I would say, when you talked about comparing, yourself to the competition. It's a double-edged sword. On one hand, it can be good because it can motivate you, but on the other hand, it can sort of take away from what you're trying to do, because sometimes you get down on yourself if your competition's ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided a long time ago, we're not going to compare ourselves to other young companies that may be way ahead of us at the same time and point in time from when they launched, because it's easy to do, and I've found myself doing it. But this is our race, and so we have to be committed to not copying, not trying to duplicate what someone else has done exactly, but be patient with our company. So I'd say, don't compare, be patient, take the amount of time, money, energy you think it's going to take to launch whatever business idea you have, multiply it by a factor of 10, and then if you decide that it's worth it, then go for it. But just know it's a lot of hard work, a lot of rejection. But for us, like for me, slow and steady wins the race is sort of my mantra.
Absolutely.
We want to.
I have to remind myself of that every day.
It's a colloquialism because it's true. It's there's no, you hear about the entrepreneurs that are 8, 10, 15 years into the business, and they're like, it only took me 12 years to become an overnight success.
Oh, yeah.
And it's true. There's just not any fast ride to the top. So. And I'm an impatient person, so for me that's especially hard.
I think it comes along with people in this business. I'm very impatient as well.
Right. So I've learned mountains of patience. So have patience. Don't compare yourself. Be true to what you're trying to do, and don't be afraid to work hard.
Awesome. Wise words. Thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate it.
That was amazing.
And we thank you for joining us. We will see you again next week. Who's our guest next week?
We have Troy Eckerd with Eckerd Commercial Construction.
It's going to be a great show.
We have another interview actually as well on Thursday. We're working. This is a job now for us here, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have any comments or you want to see anybody in the community that would be a great fit for our show, just let us know. Have an awesome week.
Go out there, grind, get this book.
Yes,
amazing.
It takes a lot of grit. Have a wonderful week. Thank you.
Thank you. Cool, man.
Awesome. Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah.
Appreciate it.